about to break it all down. Said we about to what? We about to break bread right now. So I was talking to a few of my brothers the other day, as we often do. We like to build with each other, which is amazing. I would encourage all of you to find some brothers and some sisters that y'all can build with on a daily basis to grow your mind and expand your thought process. So we wind up, talking about the domestication of animals by way of just talking about people traveling around the world and what's evidence left behind of these travels. You feel me? So we got to the point like, hey, where do these farm animals come from? We started asking people in the audience, on the argument league. A lot of people were saying when we asked about the pig, it was like, should the pig come from a rat, a dog, and a cat mix? You know what I'm saying? So definitely finna go down the line, see what's going on, and see if I can't find some evidence to substantiate the pig coming from a rat and a cat dog mix. You feel me? So let's go see what we got.
About 2 million years ago, early humans hadn't figured out farming yet, so they mainly relied on collecting fruits, tree bark, tree roots, and even insects to survive, as did several other hominid species, including one called Australopithecus. But around this time, a change began to happen, not among the humans, but the climate. An ice age was beginning, and for many humans, long portions of the year were marked by cold temperatures and food shortages. To overcome this obstacle, the solution Australopithecus came up with was to eat a higher quantity of lower quality plants like weeds and grasses, while Homo sapiens, that's us, found that in times of scarcity, animal meat and bone marrow could supplement fruits, and actually
So I got a question. Somebody out there probably can help me with it, but I'm gonna try to figure it out. But I'm gonna throw it out here. Um, so is this ice age so-called, symbolic to the flood? Because once the ice dissipates, it would be water. You feel me? So therefore, people couldn't be in these certain areas. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Let's see what time period they said.
And for many humans, long portions of the year were marked by cold. They mainly relied on collecting fruits, tree bark, tree roots, and even insects to survive, as did several other hominid species, including one called Australopithecus. But around this time, a change began to happen, not among the humans, but the climate. An ice age was beginning, and for many humans, long portions of the year were marked by cold temperatures and food shortages. To overcome this obstacle, the solution Australopithecus came up with was to eat a higher quantity of lower quality plants like weeds and grasses, while Homo sapiens, that's us, found that in times of scarcity, animal meat and bone marrow could supplement fruits, and actually provided greater amounts of protein and access to different important nutrients that only a few plants could provide. If you look around today, only one of us is...
Hold up. They say Australopithecus was eating weeds. Now, mind you gotta do y'all research on these so-called weeds. These are super foods because of their high content in nutrients that we need. You know what I'm saying? Not that unnecessary fluff niggas be on. That shit that's gonna cancel your Christmas because you might not be here. And a lot of us, you feel me? What I mean by canceling your Christmas, it's gonna kill the Christ in you. You feel me? Like, let's not get that shit twisted. Put that light out, aka kill your ass.
Around, as Australopithecus died out around 2 million years ago, and it's thought that their different feeding habits influenced their eventual demise. In this way, eating meat helped.
And that shit don't sound right. They trying to say Australopithecus, which is one that look more like an animal. You know what I'm saying? Was all into eating herbs, basically, and superfoods. Versus the Homo sapien was all into eating meat. Come on, bro. They're trying to pull a great switcheroo, but we gonna keep going because we trying to figure out where this lifestyle came from.
Save humans from extinction. Ever since then, humans have been hunting and eating animals to satisfy parts of their diet, and eventually figured out that if we captured some of their young and raised them alongside us, we didn't have to put ourselves in danger and could have a reliable source of food. This process of training and breeding animals to coexist with humans is called domestication, and any animal we raise for the purpose of eating or deriving some other value out of, like for their eggs, milk, or leather, is called livestock. And although today many of these are found all over the world, each one had to have come from somewhere specific, and each one has an interesting story behind their domestication. So let's get the big one out of the way first.
Man, hold up. So these people just sitting there and told us, in order to secure their food sources, they would take the young from the groups of animals, you feel me, and keep them. And the fact that they wanted things that are of their livelihood, you feel me, which is the eggs, the milk, the things that this animal needs to sustain itself as well as its young, you feel me, then they call them livestock. Like, shit, we need what the hell your life, you know what I'm saying, consists of. We need that up off of you. And to me, you got, again, this the channel where we checking shit, you know what I'm saying? We thinking outside the box. Like, is that any different than the trafficking that goes on over here of people? The slavery of people, how they took the young? They took the young, you feel me? And kept them for livestock. Meaning, they needed different things from these young folks, you feel me? Whether it was sexual, wanting these people to take care of their families, it was the list goes on, you feel me? I'm just saying, look at these comparisons and how the same thing that was done to animals in turn was done to people that they wanted to treat like animals. Like, peep game.
The term chicken actually used to mean just the young ones, while the term fowl was used for the whole species. That's why we still call all young birds chicks, even if they aren't chickens. Honestly, I could do a whole video about chickens, so I hope you're ready for this. Modern-day chickens are the domesticated form of what's called the red jungle fowl, a bird that struts along the floor of tropical forests, scratching seeds and other foods out of the soil. In the wild...
Hold on. So they saying it's a bird that be in the jungle. They saying the chicken origins is from the jungle. The red jungle fowl, as well as all baby birds are considered chicks. You know what I'm saying? As all birds are considered fowl. Like, all baby birds are considered chicks, so all birds are considered, you know, classified as fowl.
The red jungle fowl originated over an area stretching from India into China and down into Southeast Asia, making it all the way to Sumatra. And the red jungle fowl originated over an area stretching from India into China and down into Southeast Asia, making it all...
They said that bitch originated in India. Is that going along with the original man conversation? The Afro-Asiatic?
the way to Sumatra. And to this day, there are still wild populations of jungle fowl throughout this area. Although out of the red jungle fowl's initial range, the earliest definitive evidence of chicken domestication comes out of Hebei province in China and would have occurred around 7,400 years ago. From China, the domesticated chicken quickly spread east, with evidence of domesticated chickens in India from around 7,000 years ago.
Hold on. So they saying China, in the area of China, these motherfuckers was doing that shit already.
Would have occurred around 7,400 years ago. From
74,000
China, the domesticated chicken
years ago.
quickly spread east, with evidence of domesticated chickens in India from around 7,000 years ago.
And they basically saying they took a whole bunch of young chickens, you know what I'm saying, over to be domesticated. Or chickens they raised, you know what I'm saying, that wasn't just allowed to roam the jungle floor like they normally do.
By around 5,000 years ago, they made it to Anatolia and into Eastern Europe not long after. Evidence of chickens in the middle...
5,000 years ago, they made it to the land bridge, you know what I'm saying, that connects so-called Europe and Africa, or Spain and Africa, you know what I'm saying? So, when you think about that shit, it's like, these motherfuckers been making their way around type shit. They saying this shit got right here 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago. And I honestly feel the connection. Now I see why black people have a connection with this bird, given that, you know, a lot of us was in the jungles. You know, our culture consisted of jungle lifestyle. Nothing derogatory about that shit. But it wouldn't be far-fetched to say they already knew about these animals, you know what I'm saying?
East only go back to 4,000 years,
I mean,
and
the
they
Middle
only
East.
reached Egypt around
Land bridge,
3,400 years ago, or by about 1400 BCE.
They reached Egypt 3,400 years ago, 3,400 years ago. And he said that's the equivalent of some BCE.
Evidence of chickens in the Middle East only go back to 4,000 years, and they only reached Egypt around 3,400 years ago, or by about 1400 BCE. The shocking part about all this, however, is that the chicken had not been domesticated for farming or even consumption yet. Instead, this entire time, or for the first 5,000 years after chickens were first domesticated, they were being used for the sole purpose of cockfighting, both as entertainment as well as gambling. The first evidence we have of people actually farming and eating chickens comes from only 2,300 years ago in the ancient Israeli city of Maresha. It was here that a tremendous
Again, we seeing that connection why black people are so connected to this bird or this animal. Because of their early connections with it. You know what I'm saying?
Of over 1,000 chicken bones were found. These bones were mostly from female chickens, so they couldn't have been used for cockfighting. There were many fully mature bones, so they weren't being selectively killed at birth, and most importantly, the bones bear markings from knives, indicating that they were being cooked and cut up. With 19 billion total chickens alive today on Earth, grown solely for their meat, I think it's safe to say we use them more for eating than gambling now. And our domestication of the chicken has made it the most populous bird on the planet, with 2.5 chickens for every human on Earth. Okay, I think I'm about done with chickens. Cows, which also go by the name cattle, are actually older than domesticated chickens, and they can trace their wild heritage back to a beast known as an auroch, which has since...
Okay. So now we're getting somewhere. The cow goes back to a beast called the auroch. That's shown right here. You feel me? Let's go, y'all. But let me show you, because it looks like a bull, so to speak. This is what they saying is an auroch. Or the forefather to this cow.
Gone extinct. But we still know what they look like because they are one of the most common images to have been recorded as cave paintings. Yeah, they look a lot like cows, that's kind of the point. These were an incredibly versatile animal that really only needed grass to survive. Because of this, they basically originated anywhere with grass, and their range spreads all the way from Western Europe through Asia all the way to China. DNA analysis, however, indicates that the domesticated cow we're familiar with today likely originated from just around 80 aurochs near the village of Çanyotepezi in modern-day Turkey, maybe even by a single group of people, which is really crazy if you think about it. Cows that came out of this domestication event are called taurine cows, and sometimes mistakenly called European cows. A second domestication event happened, however, which resulted in Indocene cows, which, if you couldn't tell by the name, happened near the banks of the Indus River in modern-day Pakistan. These look notably different from most cows we're used to, featuring, among other things, a large hump on their back. Instead of cows, these can also be called zebu, and not everyone agrees that they should be considered the same as cows, but at least genetically speaking, they're essentially the same animal. Cows are also thought to be one of the oldest forms of currency, and if we still used them, India would be the richest country on Earth, hosting over 300 million of them, or roughly 30% of the world cow population, and Brazil would be second with 232 million, or 23% of all the cows. And yet, YouTube refuses to pay me in cows, and Patreon doesn't even let me make a choice to receive donations in cows. Pig also used to be the word for a young pig, while the word swine was used for the whole species.
They don't want to, dude, they don't want, Alright, we got the auroch, the Indus cow, you feel me? Like, these are some of the cows I'm taking, they mixed together, you feel me? And through the different transitions, you feel me? These are what we left with.
Which means someday piglet could come to mean an adult pig, and then we would need to find a new word, probably something like piggle for their babies. The swine as a whole, however, are the domesticated version of the Eurasian boar, which, as the name implies, also kinda had a ginormous range throughout Europe and Asia. But it's thought more anciently they originated out of Southeast Asia around 2 million years ago. However, they were domesticated in more or less the same exact place as cows within the Tigris River basin, likely south-central Turkey as well. Since turkey seems to be very popular so far, let's talk
I
about
said,
turkeys
hold
next.
on. I told Suave, I feel like the Moors, man, got that pig ready for a certain group of people that was trying to so-called domesticate them damn selves. You feel me?
I was surprised to find that turkeys actually did get their name from the country Turkey, but maybe not in the way you'd expect. You see, wild turkeys had an original range across North America, nowhere near the country of Turkey, most likely originating in the warm pine forest of Mexico. But upon finding America, Europeans realized just how much they liked them and brought them back to the old world. Quickly, turkeys made their way to the Ottoman Empire, which excelled in the trade of a very, but maybe not in the way you'd expect. You see, wild turkeys had an original range across North America, nowhere near the country of Turkey.
Wow. Hold up. They said it's believed that they had a wild range all through North America. That's North America you looking at. So that also suffice to say, you know, it was niggas over here. It was people over here. Let's go.
But maybe not in the way you'd expect. You see, wild turkeys had an original range across North America, nowhere near the country of Turkey, most likely originating in the warm pine forest of Mexico. But upon finding America, Europeans realized just how much they liked them and brought them back to the old world. Quickly, turkeys made...
Man, that's what they want to tell y'all motherfucking ass.
way to the Ottoman.
Because, man, we clearly got evidence of Moorish empires that stretch from, you know, from Turkey, Europe, Spain, Morocco, and in North and South Mexico or America. You feel me? So it's mighty funny, motherfucker, want to try to clean that shit up and be like, oh no, people start bringing them over here. People started bringing them over here, or did the same people that brought everybody over here bring that shit over here? As far as I'm concerned, the Moors had to navigate everybody around this bitch. You feel me? Because we had a lot of people that wasn't even, like, they wasn't skilled at steering a ship. So they was seafaring. And you had people that was seafaring, meaning they was fair on the sea. You feel me? Like, they had their way, because they knew what they was doing.
Empire, which excelled in the trade of a very similar bird, the guinea fowl. The Turkish people came to breed and...
The guinea fowl, the trip. I fuck with the guinea fowl. That motherfucker keep ticks and shit under control. Bugs and shit.
To domesticate the bird and began distributing...
Hey, loan officers.
And see, I thought the guinea fowl was closer to the motherfucking turkey. You feel me? I mean, not to the turkey, to the chicken. But as you see, they, you know, they related, they fowls. You feel me? Terminology for birds. So I ain't mad at them, but we still want to go more in depth. I want to know
all the way back to Britain.
exactly
From there,
what
the bird
animals
became
was
associated with those who traded the bird, and they became Turkish birds, birds from Turkey, and eventually just turkeys. I guess the Turkish just really love domesticating animals. Moving on to sheep, like all of these,
The
sheep
Moors,
had a more wild ancestor
Turkish
called a
movement.
mouflon, from which modern domesticated sheep were bred from.
Sheep
These
come from
guys
the
looked
mouflon.
1,000 times cooler than modern sheep, and I definitely want to ride one.
Sheep come
The
from the
original range of
mouflon.
mouflons was from the Caucasus
Big ass
into
ram looking
Anatolia,
motherfucker.
modern-day Turkey, and down. These guys looked 1,000 times cooler than modern sheep, and I definitely want to ride one. The original range of mouflons was from the Caucasus into, Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, and down into Iraq and Iran.
Hold on. That gives credence to the history that, you know, having to take that goat through the desert. Talking about that shit was it originated up in Caucasus. As far as I'm concerned, maybe they did, or maybe they was took there. And even if they did originate there, then it suffice to say why certain groups of people took to certain animals. Not to mention when they become in power, you can see what animals that they deified or used the zoology in order to understand. Like a lot of people, you hear them referring to being as though a sheep. You know what I'm saying? And if you deal with sheep all the time, you would definitely come up with euphemisms or phrases to express what you're trying to say through the terminology of raising sheep or dealing with sheep. So I'm not surprised to say they originated up in Caucasus Mountain. from the mouflon.
These guys looked 1,000 times cooler than modern sheep, and I definitely want to ride one. The original range of mouflons was from the Caucasus into, Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, and down into Iraq and Iran. They were one of the first domesticated animals when, 11,000 years ago, the Mesopotamians domesticated them. Though it's unclear where exactly in Mesopotamia this happened, who are we kidding, it was probably Turkey. Goats are very similar to sheep, so it only makes sense that they come from roughly the same place and were domesticated at roughly the same time. Except
Hold on, what y'all trying to say? Goats and sheep is different? I thought the goat was the male sheep, you feel me? Apparently there's male and female sheep.
domestic goats likely came from the wild Bezor ibex, which has some serious horns, and actually
Bezor ibex. Look at these jokers. There's some big jokers. Look where that goat come from. I see it. I see why they able to, you know what I'm saying, be around each other like that, because they look like similar animals.
they have the largest horns relative to body size of any animal on Earth. These have a range from the Zagros Mountains into, Turkey and the Caucasus as well. The term to refer to a baby or a young goat is just kid, so this is just a bunch of kids. This phrase comes from England and is actually older than referring to human children as kids, which originated in America during the 1800s. So basically calling a child a kid means you're calling them a baby goat. Horses are probably the...
Again, look at the terminology coming from certain people and the culture they came from, you know what I'm saying, what they had to cultivate. So here it is, the proper terminology for young children. Here is a kid. And based on the origins of so-called people that's in power, they come from Caucasus Mountain, Iraq, all that good shit. You feel me? But they say this animal originated where? Come on, bro. Turkey and all that. Come on, bro.
Most awesome of the animals that we eat, and also help in finally getting us out of Mesopotamia. They likely roamed the Pontic steppe from Ukraine through Russia and all the way into Kazakhstan. And it was here that they were also likely domesticated, around 6,000. They likely roamed the Pontic steppe from Ukraine through Russia and all the way into Kazakhstan. And it was here that they were also likely domesticated, around 6,000 years ago. The earliest irrefutable evidence of horse domestication comes from sites shared between Russia and Kazakhstan, where the horse carcasses were found buried with chariots, clearly indicating they were being used and had been for some time. A very close relative of the horse is the donkey, which are also called ass, and a female donkey, now called a jinny, was just called a she-ass. I'm telling you all this not because it's important, but because I have to have fun making these videos too. Despite being close relatives to the horse, they originated from the African wild ass, which had a range from Egypt all the way down to the Horn of Africa as far as Somalia. However, this region used to be a lot more grassy, and now their true range is centered around Ethiopia. But this original range explains why the donkey was originally domesticated in a place called Nubia by pastoral people in modern-day Sudan. Camels are kind of difficult because there's really two different camels. The dromedary, what most of us consider as a regular camel, and then the Bactrian camel. Dromedaries, also known as Arabian camels, are just that, originating in Arabia and spilling over a bit into North and East Africa. And it was either here in Arabia or in Somalia that they were first domesticated. Whereas Bactrian camels come from, Bactria, which is roughly this area, mostly in modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan. Because of their original habitat, it was these types of camels, the Bactrian ones, that were used for the Silk Road. Closely related to camels are llamas and alpacas. Because of their similarities to each other, they're often confused, but they are in fact different animals. The important difference between them is size, as llamas can be up to 6 feet tall, whereas alpacas are smaller, typically only over 4 feet tall. The range of the llama is also bigger, stretching from Ecuador down to Chile and even Argentina, while alpacas can mostly be found within southern Peru and northern Chile. But basically, both can be found within the Andes and are sort of just used as the cows of the Andes Mountains. If that's the case, then the cows of the Himalaya Mountains would be yaks, which are basically cows that grow their own skirts, as they've become adapted for cold and mountainous regions. The most important difference between cows and yaks, however, in my opinion at least, is that while cows moo, yaks grunt. And even their Latin name, Bos grunnius, reflects this, translating into bull grunting. The last two livestock creatures I want to talk about aren't often thought about. Typically, we don't directly eat these, but instead we just use the products they create. The first one is the silkworm. These are the larval stage of the silk moth, which produce, you guessed it, silk. The wild silk moth has a range starting in northern India and coming all the way up into northern China and even into far eastern Russia. Domestication occurred in China roughly 5,000 years ago, and then the secret of their domestication was closely guarded when outsiders came, and Europeans had to steal silkworms in order to figure it out. It's a very interesting story, but we don't have time for it right now. Lastly, we have the honeybee. Now, some might argue this doesn't count as a domesticated livestock, but they're still an animal that we derive a tremendous amount of value from, both through their honey and wax, but especially through their pollination practices. So I figured I'd include them regardless. Of the 20,000 different bee species that exist on Earth, only 7 produce honey. And it's thought that the first honeybees came from Africa and spread naturally across the rest of Eurasia. And today, the most popular one is called the Western honeybee, or sometimes the European honeybee. Hint, hint. And because Europeans had a lot of fun sailing all around the world and meeting a bunch of new people and definitely didn't do anything bad in any of these places, the modern range of the Western honeybee looks like this. Although they likely originated closer to this area, cave paintings in both Spain and France have been found depicting humans collecting honey from beehives. The first evidence of actual domestication comes from each area. Cave paintings in both Spain and France have been found depicting humans collecting.
Let's see this. Humans collecting honey, G. Let's see this shit. Y'all see that? Alright. Slap it up.
Honey from beehives, the first evidence of actual domestication comes from Egypt, where tombs have been found with images of beekeeping from around 9,000 years ago.
Now, which is know the majority of the things that was going on in Egypt, where domestication is like the biggest place where domestication was taking place. And if you could see from the map where they was located, everything coming through that way, you feel me? So I see why, as well as I also see how, you know, these people took different things that we was already utilizing for themselves, whether it was the silkworms, the bees, and then would turn later on create something that would in turn kill the rest of the bees. You feel me? Or again, like they said, they in turn used it for his livestock, basically making it a farm animal. Not to mention how the bees pollinate the flowers, which help with farming, etc.
Crazy because beekeeping suits wouldn't be around for another 7,000 years. People took care of bees with nothing or close to nothing, which I like honey and all, but overall doesn't seem worth it. That's about it for livestock. Let me know if you'd like to see another video, maybe about our grains.
That's amazing. So there you have it, family. We're going to keep on going more in depth with these animals, you feel me? So we can figure out what's really going on, what's around us. Let's get to know this world. Explore. Most of all, make sure you're on point with yourself. Love you as myself. Ain't nothing you can do about it, as we are one. And I'm glad we still in connection. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment, say what's up. It's my way of saying what's up to y'all. Make sure you fill in that notification bell so we all can stay in tune at all times. Love you as myself. Kinfolk. Let me see what they talking about. Let me see what they talking about. Let me see what they talking about. That like button. Y'all way out. Pull up a chair. Come over here to the round table. We about to break it all down. Say we about to what? We just broke bread right now. Peace within. Peace out.